The Miami Dolphins are one of the most intriguing teams when it comes to the 2025 NFL season, and it's not for the reasons that you would expect. It's not because they're expected to be flashy or they're expected to be very terrible, tank, and get a great pick next year. It's because they're surrounded by a lot of unknowns. They're very similar to teams coming into this season, such as the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Vikings, teams that have had change over the offseason and teams that have had minimal success as of recently, and how they're going to go about attacking that in future ways with new schemes, new players, any new fits, anything that changes over the course of the offseason and leaves a lot of questions. It makes an arise, and it makes very intriguing when it comes to the season. If you want to check out this article, I wrote it. It's on my website, www.broganhillman.com. You'll see my whole broadcasting portfolio, and you'll see everything you need there. But let's get right into it. The Miami Dolphins for 2025, I describe this as a very sink or swim season for Miami. And that's because they have potential to go 4-13. They have potential to go 13-4. They have potential to lie anywhere within that range. And anything is possible. Nothing is off the table for this Dolphins team because they're so well coached and they have good key players, but they just fail to get it done in moments that it matters most. And you really can't argue that because it's been evident, it's been on full display over the course of the last 3-4 seasons. So getting into it, obviously it's just been about the disappointing stretch as of recently. 25 seasons without a playoff win, franchise record. Also, the longest active streak in the NFL, I think followed shortly by, I believe it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Basically just going through and talking about what is it going to take? Are you going to break the cycle this year? What has to happen to get back into the postseason? What happens to happen to break that drought? And how long is it truly going to take? They've been looking for these questions for as long as can remember. For as long as the internet's been around, they've really been looking to solve postseason longevity and what they can do to be a better unit and play better as a squad. Getting right into their schedule, it's nothing crazy off the start. They have potential to ease into a very good season if they can get started on the right hand. Week 1, they're traveling to Indianapolis, a team that has a lot of questions surrounding it as well. A young team led by Anthony Richardson, who looks to have a great season in his third year, struggled in his second seasons trying to stay healthy. He's able to get back out there, put himself on display, and really prove that he can get the job done. So it's going to be a tough task for Miami on the road week 1. Going to Indianapolis. I believe they can get a win there, and I believe they will. I have them starting off the season going 1-0. And then week 2, flipping around at home against New England. They get to play against Drake May, new additions in Stephon Diggs, who they're used to within the division. So this should be a very interesting matchup. We've had New England's number as recently. Tua has played them very, very well, and I believe we will get past with a second win just because I believe it's going to take a little bit for them to find their footing going into that second year for Drake May as well. Moving on down, we have Buffalo Bills in prime time. Two key factors that have haunted us over the course of these last couple seasons. That's the Buffalo Bills and that are primetime games. So for that reason, especially Thursday night in particular early in the season, we saw it last year. James Cook absolutely put on a clinic against us, and I'm going to say the Bills squeak out a Thursday night football win, drawing us to 2-1. And then we go to face New York, who's going to be very interesting in a doubleheader, the first doubleheader of the NFL season, led by Justin Fields. He had a very interesting campaign. I thought he played a pretty good campaign over in Pittsburgh until he was replaced by Russell Wilson. But I believe Justin Fields is going to be a very interesting matchup and something the Dolphins are going to be just excited to see. And I guess they're going to come out ready for that matchup. And it's going to be definitely a new and one task that's going to take a lot to meander. But I believe the Dolphins are going to be able to get a win on Monday Night Football, bringing us to 3-1. And then we go to Carolina, the game closest to me that I'm hoping to be able to get to this season, playing against the Panthers in Carolina, Bank of America Stadium. I believe the Dolphins are going to get a win there just because Bryce Young, I anticipate Bryce Young has his best season going into his third year in the NFL, but I believe they're going to start off slow as well. Panthers are going to find their footing down the line, but if we play them early in the season and we can play them well and we can put in our schemes and put everything on display, that we can get a win there, starting off the season 4-1. And then we're going to be in Miami playing against Los Angeles. A great matchup. Justin Herbert, that whole squad. Najee Harris, new addition for that Chargers unit. They are a very interesting team. Lad McConkey, a kid that just lights up the field week in and week out. And then the most notable name, Jim Harbaugh at head coach, who's done an unbelievable job to get them back on track. I believe the Chargers are going to take this game. I believe they're going to be very scary this season. I believe they'll be sitting well in the postseason, around a 4 or 5 seed this year. And I believe that we're going to drop one there in Week 6 in Hard Rock and fall to 4-2. And then we go to Cleveland, a team that has had a lot of attention this offseason for Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, their 6 quarterback room. I believe we'll be able to squeak out a W. It'll probably be Joe Flacco in this matchup. There's potential that it could be very well Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. Anything could happen in that offseason in that quarterback room. But I believe the Dolphins will squeak out a win, whoever it is against, moving to 5-2. And then we face the Atlanta Falcons on the road, who again have another very interesting quarterback situation with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. We're going to be traveling to Atlanta, a great game on the road, 1 p.m. window. I believe we can get a win there. But I don't anticipate that Falcons team to get run over the way they have in recent years. I anticipate they're going to come out with a different energy. They're going to come out with a spark, and they're going to be led by Michael Penix Jr. at some point. Could it be the first lefty matchup since 2000? We'll have to stay tuned and find out. But I do believe the Dolphins can get a win over a very respectable 2025 Atlanta Falcons, bringing us to 6-2 at the Week 8 mark. And then we will move on to face the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football. We did have their number last time we played them in Hard Rock on Thursday Night Football, but I do believe Lamar Jackson is going to look to take a significant step up, not only in the regular season, in the postseason as well. I really root for Lamar when it comes down to the thick of it, and I really hope he can find his footing when it comes to the postseason, that is. But I do believe we're going to drop this game in Week 9, bringing us to a respectable 6-3 through the first half of the season. And then we will flip and play the Buffalo Bills right back in Miami. This is one that could go either way. It's a 1 p.m. game. It's going to be hot. We had their number last time we played them in Hard Rock in a 1 p.m. matchup. But it all comes down to how we execute and what we're going to look like coming down the stretch. We play so effectively and so good in the first half of the seasons in these prior years, but now it comes down to the area that we've struggled significantly in, and that's finishing your last half of the season. So this is going to pose to be a big problem for the Miami Dolphins, and I believe we're going to drop it again, and we're going to get series swept by the Buffalo Bills, and we're just going to have to use this as a wake-up call heading down the stretch. We do not want to unravel again, and that brings us to 6-4 heading down the stretch. And then we play the Washington Commanders in the first ever Madrid matchup, first ever NFL game played in Spain. We have the great privilege to go over and play a great young team in the Washington Commanders, one that came off a very nice season last year, coming off an NFC Championship high where they fell to the Philadelphia Eagles. This one's going to be bright early in the morning in Madrid against the Commanders, and I believe Jaden Daniels, the kid, is going to put on a show. He's going to light us up, and our defense is not going to be ready to take on that staggering Commanders offense. They play so well. They play with such an intensity, and they play with the newfound spark that Jaden Daniels brings to the table. I have the Washington Commanders being very good this year, and they take one from us in Week 11. That brings us to 6-5. Coming up to the bye week, we have it 2/3 through the season. We have a great chance to replenish, refresh, and just forget anything that's happened up to that point. So Week 12 will be our bye week, and we are sitting at 6-5, over 500. Then we will face a New Orleans Saints team that's probably going to struggle mightily this season. Might be one of the worst in the league, but they look to just get a nice draft pick next year, get a quarterback, get that situation going. Derek Carr can enjoy retirement. Congratulations to Derek Carr. He had a great NFL season. But I do believe we can get a win in Hard Rock against the New Orleans Saints. That brings us to 7-5, heading to the Big Apple to play Justin Fields in his new MetLife Stadium. This is going to be a good game. Very interesting. We beat the Jets earlier in the season, according to me, in Week 4. And last time we played in New York, we struggled a bit. But I do believe we will get a win here and the series sweep over the Jets to make up for getting swept by the Buffalo Bills. I have that bringing us to 8-5 through Week 14. That's going to be a big win. That's going to pose to, if we are 6-5, 7-5, that record range heading down the stretch, every win is obviously going to be crucial. You're going to need to take any win where you can get it, and one right there would be big over the division opponent in the New York Jets. That would bring us to 8-5, and we would be looking good heading down the stretch with still a tough opponent slate to end off the season. Then we'd be heading to Pittsburgh, a team that, again, has a lot of quarterback questions. Drafted Will Howard in the 5th round there. Is that going to be the long-term guy, or they're bringing in someone else to go in front of him to start like they did last season with that double quarterback room? What is going to be the alignment when it comes time to play these games? We're not really going to know until that kickoff. But in Pittsburgh, I do believe we can get a win here. This would be a very tough environment. Pittsburgh lights up for primetime games. Fans are love it. There's passion all throughout the city, and it's a very tough matchup, very tough atmosphere every time you go to Pittsburgh. You have terrible towels waving in your face. You have the conditions going against you. This one's deep into the season. It's going to be cold. It's going to be snow, and it's going to be whatever out in Pittsburgh. So this is going to be a very good matchup, and it's going to be one that's going to be very well anticipated. But I do believe if we can stick to the script, we can pull out a win in Pittsburgh. I would not be surprised if we lost this game, but I do believe we can pull a win out here and make us 9-5 through week 15, sitting in a very respectable spot. That might be enough to win the AFC East or be in the lead at this point, rather. But the Buffalo Bills are going to be very interesting on their own as well. So this whole division is going to be one to watch. Heading into Week 16 at home against the Bengals, another primetime game, 2 back-to-back, playing on Sunday Night Football this time. And I do believe we're going to drop this one. I expect the Bengals to be very, very good, re-signing that big three to the huge contract extensions this offseason, keeping them all together, and I believe they're going to be playing with a flame. That offense is going to be electric, and I believe it's going to be too much for our defense, and our offense is not going to have enough to make up for that. The Cincinnati Bengals steal one from us, and we go 9-6 heading into Week 17 against in-state rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a very interesting squad. Bucky Irving, Jalen McMillan, so many young stud guys on that Buccaneers lineup. I believe they're going to take one from us as well, bringing us to 9-7 on the season. And up to this point, this is really where we've been a lot in prior seasons. You head into the last week on the borderline, the cusp, the bubble, looking into the NFL playoff. You have the opponent who in recent years has been a division rival, the Patriots, the Jets, the Bills, to close out the season. Every win matters. Every moment matters. It comes down to point differential. It comes down to tiebreakers, and we've not been able to get over that hump at times. But I believe this year, when it matters, we will knock off the New England Patriots in Week 18, whether that's a 1 p.m. game, whether that's a 4:15 game, whether that's a primetime game. I do believe we will be able to knock off the New England Patriots, and I believe we will get the win and bring us to 10-7 on the season, hopefully sitting in a spot where that's enough to take it, hopefully being allowed entry into the NFL playoffs. Hopefully that's been the word for the Dolphins, is just hope, because we have not been able to get it done on our own. We have had other factors have to come into play, but I believe we're going to end off 10-7, and we are going to see if that is enough to enter the NFL postseason. Again, this just goes over our primetime games. We have 6 of them. One of our biggest matchups that I'm most looking forward to is the matchup in Madrid, Spain, against the Washington Commanders. We have the 11th easiest schedule in the league with a win percentage average of .47 coming off of last year. So there is a lot to look forward to this season. We could be good. We could catch our drift at the right time. We could get hot heading down the stretch, which is something we've struggled to do as of recent. We could flip the script, rewrite the narrative, and get our first playoff win since 2000 for all we know. Anything can happen in this 2025-2026 season for the Miami Dolphins, and it's really a lot of pressure on Tua. If he can stay healthy entering his 6th year in the league, if he can stay healthy handling the criticism, if he can keep moving forward, keep making plays, keep dishing the rock to his guys, and elevating this unit using his veteran status. Can he move forward and take that step up that Dolphins fans have been yearning for a while? We'll just have to see when it comes down to the stretch, but I really hope he can. I really hope he can find his stride. He can take that momentum and he can build a real thing here in Miami. He finally gets that shot and he finally capitalizes, and he is what they expect him to be with that number 5 overall pick back in 2020. I really hope Tua can break through and finally have the year he has been suspecting to have. But my thoughts and opinions on this whole thing, my final thoughts, what I'm going to leave you guys with, is I just believe Mike McDaniel finds ways to keep this team competitive, and he finds ways to win through everything. There's been a lot of misfortunes. There's been a lot of uncontrollables for Miami, but they just keep moving forward. They keep chugging, and they keep finding ways to put themselves in situations where they have a chance, and they have a glimmer of hope. Whether it's injuries, trades, anything that has plagued the organization, we know all about the downs in the lows in Miami because they've been evident. They've been on display for the longest time, longest active playoff win drought, as we mentioned, 25 years. They have had so much struggle and so much adversity over the course of the past couple decades that they are ready to get back, and they are ready to be that team and that squad they've been yearning to be. For me, their floor is 5-2. I think that's if injuries hit and they play inconsistently, they can never find their footing. The star power lacks from previous years. They can go 5-12, 6-11 in that range and just have a disappointing season, set up for the draft, and get ready for the next offseason. For me, like we went through every single game, it's 10-7. That's my most realistic range. That's where I believe they'll fall. I wouldn't be surprised with a 9-8. I would be very disappointed with an 8-9 season, but in that range is definitely the most realistic, and I believe they'll be going around 10-7, and their ceiling, if they catch their stride, if Tua just lights it up, he gets his name in the MVP conversation again. If the offense is clicking, if Devon Achane breaks runs left and right, if Jalen Waddle gets involved more this season, if something goes right and they catch a winning formula at the right time, this team could go 12-5, 13-4. They could be a high seed. They could win the AFC East for the first time since 2008. They could be a serious contender as they have that star power. They have that coaching. They have the game plan. They just need to break through and come together as a collective, sound unit and find their consistent footing. I believe they have a chance. I believe that they could do what they set out to do, but I also believe there's a very good chance that this team just has that same 9-8, 10-7 season, barely missing out on the playoffs or barely sneaking in the playoffs just to get clamored. I believe it'll be another season of rinse and repeat. I believe the Dolphins will have a sour taste in their mouth after this season. But hey, that's just what I believe going based off previous years. I want them to come out here and prove me wrong. I want them to make me eat my words right now. I would be over the moon if we're sitting here in January, we're sitting here in February, if that's even a scenario, and I'm able to sit here and say, wow, I was wrong. Wow, I eat my words. But based on the previous seasons, I just can't. I can't put myself in a situation to say they're going to be very good. They're going to be over the moon. I'm going based on what I know, based off what I'm analyzing, based off what I'm predicting from what has happened in previous trends and what it's setting up to look like. I want the Dolphins to prove me wrong. I truly do. I've been a diehard fan for 16 years of my life, my whole life. I'm 18. About when I was 2 years old, I came over to Fins Nation when I was a little conscious, but I really do hope they prove me wrong. I hope the Dolphins go out and have a stellar season. I hope we light it up on all accords, and I hope that we swim and we ride that momentum high this season, and I hope we have the best season that we have had in previous years. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to me go on my little rant about the Dolphins season. If you want more videos like this, if you want other teams like this, if you want more predictions, let me know. Make sure to go check out the website, BROGAN.HILLMAN.com. All my work will be on there, my whole broadcasting portfolio. I love you all very, very much. But most importantly, make sure to keep God number one. I love you, and I'm out.